G'day guys and welcome back to AdosTheGreat YouTube channel. So guys, in today's video we will be reviewing how I went in week 1 of the preseason challenge, and then I'll be giving you my preseason week 2 tips. So all we'll do is we'll go over how I went week 1. As you can see here, pretty good week, but then we'll also after we've done that, we'll go over, a few of the players named in each of the teams, and I will give you my predictions for week 2. So let's jump in, guys, and talk about week 1 of the preseason challenge. So the first game was the Bulldogs and the Melbourne Storm, with the Bulldogs naming a much better team, a lot more experience in the Bulldogs lineup, and I thought for that reason they should get the job done, and they did. So there is a tick there for me. Plenty of positives to take out of this game for both sides though. But yeah, good first tip there. Next up, we had the Knights against the Sharks. Another one, the Sharks were without a lot of their experienced players, as were the Knights, but the Knights definitely had a better team. And that showed as they won that one. And that was another tick there for me. Next up, we saw a full-strength Roosters side take on a reserve grade Manly side, and to Manly's credit, they came out, they tried their hardest. They played actually quite well, to be honest, but the Roosters were too good in the end. They got the win, and another tick there for me. So 3 from 3 to start a week. You love to see that. Para and the Raiders were the next game there. Look, the Raiders definitely named a better squad. However, Parramatta did have quite a few decent quality players there as well. So this one was a tougher one for me. Like, the first 3 were pretty easy to tip. This one definitely could have gone either way here, and for the most part it was relatively close, but the Raiders did come away with this one in the end, winning that one, and another tick for me. Next up, the Rabbitohs took on the Dragons for the Charity Shield. It was a very low scoring first half. Up until about 4 minutes to go in the first half, it was 0-0. 2 quick tries came late in that first half. One was literally just a off pass from Lockie Elias, intercepted by Michaeli Ravalawa, who ran away to score there for the Dragons. So 6-6 at halftime, but the Rabbitohs ran away with it in the second half, and another tick right there for me. So after Saturday, I was sitting pretty with 5 from 5. You love to see that. We move on to Sunday. Warriors and the Tigers. Pretty close trial, this one. I did think it would be relatively close. Both sides named a mix of experience and youth. And yeah, look, I thought this one was a bit like the Raiders one. Could have gone either way, and it nearly really realistically did. Tigers ended up winning this one 18-16, and another tick right for me. Next up, the Broncos defeated the Cowboys there. Broncos naming pretty much a full-strength side, whereas the Cowboys went with a youthful side there. So another pretty easy tip there for me. So Broncos winning that one. Next up was the Dolphins and the Titans, and a bit like the Broncos and Cowboys, Titans went youthful. Dolphins went experience, and the Titans gave the Dolphins a run for their money. It took them basically the second half to win this game. The Titans defended their asses off, and that is not a statement I thought I would ever say, but they did. They looked good in defense. So Des Hasler has already started the defensive cleanup there for the Titans. So I went 8 from 8 in the preseason challenge tips. I also got the Indigenous All-Stars beating the Maori All-Stars. So really good weekend for me in the tipping. A lot of you guys came out and said that you took a punt on my tips and you won some money. So, you're welcome. But please, guys, this was a very lucky round for me. This does not happen that often. So, look, if you are going to use my tips to have a punt, please, guys, please gamble responsibly. As they say, you win some, you lose more, guys. Please gamble responsibly. All right, let's talk about preseason week 2. Let's jump into it with the Rabbitohs and Roosters. Both these teams are in Vegas now, so they have named relatively weak squads here. But you know what? That makes it more fun. So the Rabbitohs have gone with Braden Burns at fullback, Look, I won't go through all the squad because there's really no point. But yeah, Braden Burns is the fullback, so not really that much NRL experience. You've got Braden Burns, you've got Brock Gray, who's played a little bit of NRL, I believe, not much there though. You've also got Yleen Gordon, who made his debut in 2005, I believe. So he has been he's been a one club hero there at the Rabbitohs. Buddy Gordon, they all love him there. Outside of that, that's really the only NRL experience in the Rabbitohs side. For the Roosters, Dylan Napa in the front row there is really their only NRL experience. I don't think they've actually got anybody else there. They do have Alexander Young, who is the brother of Dom Young. So, good stuff there. But look, if I'm going players to watch out for, Leon Tehau, Adam Christensen, Leonard Skelton in the back line there for the Rabbitohs. 3 players that are insanely good. Like, I really do think that these 3 will be playing NRL in the near future. Jared Sablu in number 7, definitely a player to watch out for. Brock Gray, definitely another player to watch out for there. Matty French in the lock role there for the Rabbitohs, another player to watch out for. Raheem Mundine, or CJ Mundine, the son of Anthony Mundine, definitely a player to look out for. Tyson Hodge is another one, and my big player to watch out for. I know he's been named in the reserves, but he's definitely a player that I want you guys to remember, and remember me saying this. Louis Grossamy, he is going to be massive in my opinion. I've watched him coming through the reserve grades. He looks the goods. I think he is definitely, as Guru would say, a could be anything player. Now with the Roosters team lists, I don't know too many of these youngsters coming through. There's probably about 3 or 4 that I really know a little bit about, but outside of that, not much. So I will go over the players that I do know a bit about. Kyron Fekatoa, I've heard good things about him. Watch out for him, obviously. Alex Young, definitely another player to watch out for. Xavier Va'a was my Rookie of the Year for the Roosters this year. That's who I've got anyway. Don't know if that will come to fruition, but I do see a big future for Xavier. Tyler Moriarty is a player that I really think you guys need to watch out for. He is going to be an absolute weapon. The Roosters have a lot of dummy halves coming through, but he is one that I think could jump a lot of others. With if there's an injury to Brandon Smith, I definitely think that Moriarty could make his NRL debut this year, or if there's other injuries outside of that, he's definitely someone to watch out for. All right, the next game, we've got the Sharks against the Bulldogs, the second of the Friday night games here. Look, both have named a pretty strong lineup. Braden Trindle and Nico Hines in the halves there. Oregon Kaufusi, off the back of a big game last week, gets the start in the front row. Siosifa Talakai keeps his centre spot, but there's a lot of players on this bench that I think could be wanting to impress this weekend. Outside of that, not too many to talk about in their 17. They've pretty much gone as we would expect, pretty full strength there. Cale Iro, Billy Burns, Daniel Atkinson, Jaden Beryl, Cade Dykes, and Niwai. Here we go. Jesus, I messed it up here. Puru are definitely players to watch out for, though. They are going to be wanting to impress off the bench, and I do think that they will. For the Bulldogs, I didn't give my tips for this Roosters Rabbitohs game. My apologies. We'll go back to this. Look, I'm going to back the Rabbitohs. I thought that would be pretty obvious there. But look, the Roosters, both sides, not really any NRL experience here, to be honest. So I am going to go with my heart here and tip the Rabbitohs. Do not bet on this game. Please do not bet on this game. I do not know who wins this. I have no idea. It could go either way. But my heart says Rabbitohs, so I'm going the Rabbitohs. All right. The Bulldogs team, Blake Taaffe keeps that fullback spot for now. Bronson Cherry does lock in a centre spot for now. Stephen Crichton will make his debut for the Doggies here. Drew Hutchinson locks in that halfback spot for now. Fayo Masili gets the starting front row spot for now. Jermaine Salmon has won that lock spot for now as well. And then the bench, Samuel Hughes, I would say, is fighting Famasili for that starting number 10 spot. Josh Curran, I would say, is probably fighting Jermaine Salmon for that starting 13 spot. And then a few players to watch off the bench. Obviously, Toby Sexton, he wants that number 7 jersey. I think he may have lost it, though. Jarrell Skelton is another good watch off the bench. And Jawash Papali'i as well. So, not too much to talk about here. If I am going to pick out of these teams, I think Cronulla do get the win in this one. Look, I think they've just got a stronger team here. And, I think the Sharkies do notch up the win there in that one. Let me know who you guys are tipping, but I do think Cronulla win that one. All right, next up, we've got the Melbourne Storm against the Newcastle Knights. Again, I'll just go through these pretty quickly here. Nothing really to talk about. Pappy is named at fullback. Outside of that, like the rest of their 1 through 5 is as we would expect it. Jonah Pizzette does get the number 6 jersey here as Cameron Munster is out. The forward pack, pretty similar to what we would expect. Obviously, Christian Welch starting on the bench, Kami Kamika and Josh King in the front row. Kane Bradley gets the number 11 jersey, which is a little bit of a surprise for me. But Sean Bloor and Jack Howarth off the bench definitely could be knocking on the door for that jersey. That is for sure. Outside of that, pretty similar to what I think most of us were expecting. For the Knights, pretty strong lineup, to be fair. Pretty strong lineup. They've gone pretty much how I would have expected them to through to 13. Anari Tawala is an interesting one because I do think David Armstrong is making a good argument for that wing spot. But outside of that, not too many surprises there. Billy Price, so William Price, I do expect him to fight his way somewhere into the lineup. I wouldn't mind to see him in the number 14 jersey, if I'm being honest with you, because I do think Jack Cogger might win that number 6 jersey there. Outside of that, Dylan Lucas, I don't think his spot is locked in. He'll be fighting Kai Pearce-Paul for that number 12 jersey. Outside of that, though, I think that's pretty much locked in how I would have it. This is an interesting one. This is being played in Fiji, so it's definitely an interesting game here. No team has the home ground advantage here. I am going to sway towards the Knights in this one with no confidence whatsoever. I just think this Knights side I think they win this game. So I'm going to back the Knights in this one. Again, please do not bet on these games, guys. Don't use my tips to bet. I know we got 8 from 8 last week. I get that, but I can't stress this enough. It is preseason. You don't know how long these players are going to get. I can't stress that enough. So if you do want to, guys, please do it responsibly. But my advice to you is please don't. All right, next up, we got the Warriors and the Dolphins. Both sides naming pretty strong lineups here. Tuapiki is named at fullback there for the Warriors. Outside of that, I don't think Rocco Berry's spot is locked in. I think Ali Leitao, I think he definitely could be knocking on that door. Same with Adam Pompey. So I don't think Rocco Berry's spot's locked in there. So that could be interesting. Sean Johnson does return to this side though. Outside of that, Kurt Capewell will make his debut in the number 12 jersey. Look, I think basically 1 and 3 not locked in. I'd say the rest of these are pretty well locked in there from the 1 through to 13. Freddie Lussick, Murata Niakure, Jazz Tavanga and Bunty Afua are the bench there. Look, Dylan Walker will be in this team somewhere. So one of those 4 do miss out. And I probably would say it is Freddie Lussick, just because Jazz Tavanga can play 9. And Dylan Walker has to be in this side somewhere. Jacob Laban is another player that definitely he impressed last week, and I think he could be knocking on the door for a debut this year. But yeah, with the squad they've got, the depth they've got, this Warriors side is very good. I can't see him slotting into there though, but I definitely do think he will get some good minutes this weekend and will want to prove himself, that's for sure. This Dolphins team all but looks pretty much locked in 1 through to 13, I would say. Tessie New and Jack Bostock both looking basically to have locked in the 3 and 5 positions there respectively. I do expect that Kenny Bromwich and Connolly Lemuelu will be in the 17 somewhere. So Valence Tafade, Jake Avrila and Kurt Donahue probably do miss out there. Josh Kerr apparently has been training the house down as well in the off-season. He was very good for the Indigenous All-Stars, so I do expect him to slot into this side somewhere as well. Another player that's not named here is Jared Wallace. Look, yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting game. I do see the Warriors winning this one, though, so I am backing the Warriors in this one, but it's definitely a game that could go either way for sure. So that is my tip, Warriors to beat the Dolphins there, but definitely a game that could go either way. Right, next up, we've got the Seagulls against the Broncos. Look, this is a game that I would not be putting my money on. Both teams naming really inexperienced sides here. You've got like your NRL experience there, Brendan Wakeham, Tafua Sipley, who I think will have a big game in this one. He is suspended, so he can't go to Vegas, so they're just getting some more game time into him there. Gordon Chen Kum Tong played a couple of games last year. Brad Parker is playing in the second row here. Benny Condon and Dean Madison all sort of have had a bit of NRL experience there. Outside of that, though, very excited to see Jamie Humphries, Bailey Hodgson, Clayton Fala. I'm going to butcher these names. Faulolo, Austin Diaz, Jacob Sykes, like those sort of players I am excited to see. For the Broncos, I would say definitely a lot, not worse, but I would say that they have less NRL experience than the Seagulls. Obviously with Sipley there, yeah. So Broncos NRL experience, Hoyter, Ethan Kwai Ward has had a few games. Jordan Pereira, Kurt Forbes may have played 1 or 2 for the Panthers. Bailey Butler played the Indigenous All-Stars game. Blakey Moses played 1 or 2 games in the NRL. Benny Takura, we know what he can do. Not an NRL player, though. Jaden Hunt, I believe, has played a few games for St. George Illawarra. Outside of that, though, like you've got Corey Pakes named in the reserves. Look, I think this one will be a very interesting game. There's a few players I'm excited to see, but look, I do think Manly win this one. I just think Manly have slightly more experience here than the Broncos, but it's definitely going to be a close game. I just have Manly just narrowly beating the Broncos there. All right, next up, we've got the Dragons and the Tigers, both teams naming relatively strong squads here. I don't like that the Dragons have gone with Sloan and Lomax, fullback and wing respectively. Again, like that's just stupid to me. I think you've got to swap them, have Lomax at fullback and Sloan on the wing. I cannot for the life of me understand why they've gone with this lineup again. I don't know. Francis Molo was incredible last week, so it's good to see him getting named again. I thought Jaden Seward was very good as well. Jesse Marshke, I do think potentially could lock in a 14 jersey. I think it's between him and Muehlheisen, who has been named in the reserves. Raman for Tyler Mariner will make his debut for the Dragons here too. So a pretty strong lineup there. Like you've got players like the Couchman boys on the bench, the Fiona boys on the bench, Michael Molo and Dan Russell all on the bench. So pretty strong list there for the Dragons. For the Tigers, I do expect this will be their full strength side here. Justin Olam gets the crack there in the centres. I do think that Stafford Toa has probably locked in his spot there in the number 4 jersey, but there's definitely players that could fight for that on the bench. Jaden Sullivan and Aiden Caesar in the halves, they're good to see. Utui Kamanu, obviously, he was fantastic in his stint last week for them. Look, the lineup is pretty much full strength, I would say, bar maybe a few players. Lockie Galvin gets another chance off the bench, but I do think their other dummy half, I can't remember his name now, but I do think he's probably locked that one in. Outside of that, like the bench, Fainu, definitely a shout there. Simpkin, another player that probably deserves a shout. And then you've got Matamua, who could definitely work his way into this side. But outside of that, I think this is pretty much how we will see the Tigers line up this year. I am going to name... I'm going to put my... I think the Dragons win this one. I'm going to back the Dragons in this one. Look, this another game that definitely could go either way, and don't bet on this one, guys. Again, I'm going to say it after every single review. Don't bet on this game, but I am going the Dragons in this one in a close one. All right, next up, we got the Raiders versus Cowboys, the second last preseason challenge game of the weekend. Obviously, Panthers and can't remember who they're taking on now. I think it's Wigan. Don't quote me on that, though. I will look at that. We probably will do that in another video. But this one's interesting too because both sides have gone with pretty strong lineups. The Raiders, I do think that their backline, they're just working through a few things here. I think Schiller, Savage, and Hopewadi are all fighting for a spot there. You've also got Ko Weeks and Ethan Strange fighting for that 5'8" spot. Outside of that, like their forward pack's pretty strong there. No Tarpanay and no Horsburgh. So Morgan Smith is named at lock. And Mariota, if he's named in here, he is off on the reserves. I think he is primed for a big game here when he gets minutes. I think he's in for a massive season. Outside of that, like not too many players to talk about. Jed Stewart, love seeing him there again. Pasami Solo was very good last week. I'd be watching him. You've also got Zach Hosking named on the extended bench and Chevy Stewart. Like the Raiders have got a pretty strong lineup, but for the Cowboys, like theirs is really strong. Like I think they're pretty much locked in. They're 1 through to 17. I do think Semi Vailea will eventually crack into this Cowboys squad. But I do think the Cowboys win this one. I think the Raiders, they were good last week, but I think this Cowboys squad is too good. I think they'll get the win here, and I think they probably win this one quite easily, if I'm being honest. Now, I could be completely wrong here, but I am backing the Cowboys in this one in a good win over the Raiders. The final game of the weekend, this is definitely one I'm very much looking forward to. The Titans against the Eels. I think this one will be a cracker. So, you've got Keanu Kinney coming in for Jacob Campbell. He will play the first few games until Campbell is fit. You got Jacob Arlick coming in for David Fafita. So both players very young, but very, very good players. They're quality players. They'll do a job for the Titans there. Titans defensively last week were phenomenal. So just watch this because I think the Titans will be very good. I think their 1 through to 13 for round 1 is pretty much how they've lined up here. Christopher Randall, Jermaine Jolliffe, Aaron Clark, Cleese Haas off the bench, but you've also got Stimson, Harley Smith-Shields, Tommy Weaver, and Isaac Fasua-Malawi, who are fighting for spots, in my opinion, in this side. So, look, I do think that they will use a fair few of their interchanges. That squad is definitely not locked in my opinion. But, very strong squad name there for the Titans. For the Eels, 1 through to 13 is pretty much how I see them lining up. However, I do think Joey Lussick will swap out for Brendan Hands in that one. I think Hands will lock in that number 9 jersey there for the Eels. Outside of that, though, they have named a very, very strong squad. Look, not too many players on their extended bench outside of Ryan Madison that I think will get into this side. Yeah, I think this is going to be a very close contest here. I am leaning towards the Titans in this one, so I am going to back them to win this game. I just think defensively, Des Hasler has just turned this team around. I know we saw their reserve grade side last week, but I do think that this Titans team will be different in 2024. I think this will be a good sample size to watch this game to see how it equates into a better NRL game. Like, both sides pretty well full strength here, so I do think that'll be very interesting. I am backing the Titans in this one in a very close contest, guys. So let's go through my tips once more. And yeah, I will do the Panthers World Club Challenge game in a different video though, guys. I'll do a smaller one for that one. So Rabbits Roosters, I'm going the Rabbitohs in that one. Sharks Bulldogs, I am tipping Cronulla in that one. Storm Knights, I am going the Knights in this one. Warriors Dolphins, I think Warriors win that one. We've got Seagulls and Broncos. I'm backing Manly in that one. I just think they've got slightly more experience. Dragons win that one over the Tigers. I am going the Cowboys in this one against the Raiders. I don't know if I said that. I can't remember. But I do think the Cowboys win this one. And the Titans over the Eels, guys. If you are going to use my tips, guys, please gamble responsibly. I'm going to end it on that. Please gamble responsibly. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, my friends, I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.